the ideal, he's right, but he misses all the practical concerns because he was trapped in a body his entire life,
and all
he had
that is devouring itself.
Yeah, all he had was the ideals. All he had. He was trapped. So according to him, the ideal is more important. We have to go on Mars immediately, right? But this is the real human concerns, human problems that we should really first.
Dude.
Mm-hmm.
Did you believe what I said though? Did you
I don't know. I was going on a rant. I'm fucking stoned.
I was saying like his body is Earth, and there's Satan on the inside, which is devouring his body. As a metaphorical thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see, dude. I see so much.
I'm gonna work for that. Well, I know what's wrong, and I know right, and I know that evil exists as the day turns into night.
An ego or like a primal ego fragment or something like that. That is Western thought. That may be complemented with like different structures that.
You were saying the devil's inside him, right? And literally, I'll laugh at you. But metaphorically, I will in fear. You're right.
What structures? Encapsulation of structures of information.
Wait, repeat that.
What structures create encapsulation of structures of information? Like, if the universe is a moon,
what creates information?
Yes.
Okay, what creates information? Information is fundamental. Information is. I'm going to answer that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what is information, right? Information is fundamentally represented. And in some order of matter, information is fundamentally some kind of representation. In some order of matter, things are arranged to represent some concept, which is the information. But it also depends on interpretation. You could have a representation of something, but if you don't know how to interpret it, you cannot understand its meaning. So information is represented in matter, in some form, and always depends on how it is to get a meaning.
Mm-hmm. Think about constellations. Think about something like a blank treasure map. Capturing, like, I always come back to the capture thing, dude. Just like an impression, like an empty impression that we hold for like interpretation. There's like two different modes you can exist in. Like you have a hold, or you got your pod open for the rain in a certain shape, ready for a certain impression, or you've got just I like the undifferentiated self experience. Like I like that description for like terminology. Where like you're not divvying yourself up. You're not.
Yeah.
You don't have a label, like a narrow stream with a label, like that you're holding before your experience to capture it as, like.
Yeah.
So like, oh, I want to be a fucking genius or whatever. Like I'm not like saying that.
So,
I'm not like putting that label up, or I'm not saying like, oh, I want to be.
So are you able to quiet your mind?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so when you can clear your mind of all verbal thought, right?
Yeah.
Then if once you learn to maintain that state where verbal thoughts do not enter your consciousness like a form of then you can just walk along and experience things without interpreting them. Just let it flow through your sensors. Because language is a form of interpretation. If you begin to use language, you are changing your perception, because every time you use language, word activates related centers in your brain. So language will, if you think in language, while you're thinking in language, you are changing your perception. But if you can reach a meditative state, language is not conscious off. As you move around, it's a different kind of experience, and language isn't changing it.
Languages, so to speak, right? Like different modes of speech, and
because remember, everything in your brain is a machine, right? And everything in your brain is a machine, and areas activate areas. So if your language centers are active, they are generating language, you are perceiving that in your mind's ear, then it's activating things, and you are changing the experience you have because you're rational.
Mind's ear, yes. Where does that come from?
You are rationalizing the experience with language. That changes.
Okay.
But if you reach the meditative state where you don't have language perception, you get a different experience. Not better, not worse, different.
It's not quite numinal, but like a shadow, like a better shadow of it, or a better fucking outline of it, or the closest thing, maybe. You know
what is like mindfulness is a big concept. There's lots of forms of meditation to arrive at questioning your thoughts. I've always been wary of completely eliminating thoughts. I mean, you never really can. But there's also a lot of variation in the way that thoughts arise. Some people report not having any internal monologue, nor any internal dialogue or trialogue or anything like that.
Yeah.
And for me, I always have thoughts and music going in my head almost 24/7. But it's not overwhelming. Sometimes I have had slightly schizophrenic breaks where I'll hear a voice outside of my head, but that's been extremely rare. That's happened maybe 8 times in my life, but
I do have schizophrenia. I do have schizophrenia, but I'm well medicated. Decade, you know.
Yeah.
Is everybody still there?
Well, that's
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm always gonna be here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
I
but
I had a psychotic break,
the meditations.
So
I've been insane.
About it, but
you know, I have been insane more than once, but I haven't been fully insane.
I ride that
you
line,
know?
baby.
Yeah.
Basically. Well, we all gotta be like a little delulu to push ourselves, right? Like,
well, not even that. Like, what's sane to you and normal is not the same to anybody else, you know. So really, you could never be 100%.
It's a capture thing. It's all it is. It's you're ready to like for people to think you're insane or what. It's a capture thing. It's a mold.
It's society in general, or it's whatever culture, whatever you want to break it down to.
A disposition, or you know, that's been conditioned.
Yeah.
And you know how you can predict schizophrenia?
Or like, you know, it's an image.
In primary school, grades 1 to 6, you look for the smart kids. They're the ones who are going to be schizophrenics later.
So there are people that talk about this as like...
Because every smart kid I grew all of us, every smart kid I grew up...
I'm not medicated. Well, I'm on antidepressants.
Yeah, but that, you know, schizophrenia does tend to heighten intelligence in early life, but then as it develops, it becomes...
What's the word? Fucking... The word everybody knows. Like paranoia about medical symptoms or conditions.
That's paranoia.
Hypochondriac.
No, the...
Hypochondriac.
Oh, okay.
Hypochondria, yeah. That's really tricky, man. I'm also very wary of psychiatric medications.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
They allow me to live. Psychiatric medications give me a quality.
Yep. They can be good.
Period.
It's like anything.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. They give me a quality of life I wouldn't.
How much are phobias nature as opposed to nurture, or vice versa? Patrick, and
you said phobias?
Yeah, so phobias. My friend Sergio is afraid of spiders.
Well, you gotta break it down. It's gotta be
he got right. Well, okay, so he got bit by a spider on his balls when he was 13. But he's afraid of spiders still when he's like 34. So
I mean, the phobias.
Okay.
I mean, from what I understand, the phobias are very... you can do a lot with them. There are a lot of therapies that have been very effective for that, specifically claustrophobia. We have a lot of research done on that. And the therapy methods for that they're very gentle. It kind of reminds me of a lot of the mindfulness and the whole forward center of mass, confidence-based, leaning into life narrative, where you push yourself just slightly past your comfort zone. And then that gives you the dopamine and adrenaline reciprocal cycle going that allows you to push yourself to the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level. So they'll have people approach an elevator, if your claustrophobia is related to elevators, and they'll just have you take one step close to the elevator, and then the next day they'll take one step closer, and eventually you make it inside the elevator. I imagine the same thing would take place with the spiders, but again, that's going to be personal, and your friend would probably he'd have to figure that out for himself to some degree because he actually got bit on the balls, and so your therapist probably couldn't
No, wait, he
actually
said
help
his
him
ball
with that.
got to be the size of a grapefruit.
Oh my god! So that's like that also
That's
psychosomatizes
traumatic.
people. That's that's traumatic as fuck. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
because
I
like
mean, I
you
guess.
see it in your skin, on your body. Well, I assume
Oh,
the
okay.
thing about
Yeah,
trauma though, like
different
trauma doesn't
elements.
have to be perfect either, or it doesn't have to be permanent either. But
No, it's like
it very often
PTSD
is.
in general.
I mean, I have
Yeah.
yeah, and it's
God
very complex
damn.
too. There's CPTSD is a new term that's come out recently. Is complex PTSD, where we kind of describe anything and everything that affects you and re-arises in your consciousness after a negative experience
Right.
as
Yep.
trauma.
Yep.
So that gets very wishy-washy quickly. One example that I've noticed from my own youth, I had kind of a paranoia of, or I have like flashbacks of a knife, like knives and being cut from watching Pirates of the Caribbean, I think. When the
Oh, okay.
freaking yeah, very random, but it stuck with me, and it's still there. And I think it's because I did psychedelics after watching Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that, and it like sunk in. So there's a scene where it's in the first movie, I believe, and it's the dude with no tongue, where he had his tongue cut out, and the parrot talks for him.
Oh,
He has the parrot on
yeah.
his shoulder, and he stuck his tongue out, and I remember getting like a little freaked out about that in my youth when I saw that.
Some sort of
And
like,
now it's like I
maybe
never dealt
something.
with that. Like, so the psychedelics, they made
Dude.
me the psychedelics made me not mess with knives at all for years. Like I used to carry a pocket knife with me, and I used to be kind of into swords, like fantasy blades and all that. And I just set that aside for years, and I had to like work back into it.
The psyche is
I mean,
fucking.
trauma is it's very strange, and when it has to do with the body, like your friend, I mean, when he sees that and he's lived that,
Yeah.
as they talk about in cognitive science, like embodied cognition, your brain is your whole body. The mind and the body and the brain and the body are one. And so, unless you're like constantly practicing CBT or mindfulness or whatever, it's going to be very easy to kind of psychosomatize these negative experiences. It seems
It's like a volcano in his psyche, eruption solidified a fucking mountain. I don't know. He has to like.
it's tricky.
The pop that's it.
I mean, I very much am drawn towards the confidence first narrative. It's so tricky because you start to sound insensitive so quickly.
Oh,
but
me or him?
You know what I mean?
Oh,
or just in
no,
general, like when like just in general, even with the medication. Like I'm not anti-medications or the term is med shaming now. I don't med shame. That's stupid. If medication works for you, that's fine. If you have a better quality of life, that's awesome. Just remember that it's like that's not the end all be all. The same is true with medication for Crohn's disease. Like I just finished uploading a video on this today, or recording one, and I've taken 4 very strong biologic infusions for Crohn's disease, and all of them have worn off. All of them have tapered off in effectivity, and I've come to realize that the best way to manage this disease is to manage my stress, is to get proper exercise, diet, and sleep. And
what do you
think a lot of that is actually really key, but nobody really wants to talk about is the sleep, the
what do you think the reason is people don't understand conditions like that?
That's like diabetes. Before insulin,
it's the same case for psychology. Like all of your, yeah.
Before people had insulin, they had to live. They use diet. They just what you eat, Well,
we shouldn't be advertising Nexium. Like this is it's hilarious. This country is it's the American sick care system, and it's permeated advertisement. Yeah. We're one of the. It's like 1 in 6 or 1 out of 6 countries in the world that still allow the advertisement, public commercials of medication. So an example is Nexium, and Nexium's just straight over the counter. You don't even have to have it prescribed, but when you look at the ads for them, it shows like pizza and hot dogs floating in the background, and like showing images of people eating these foods. It's like that's your number one. You don't take the medication so that you eat the food that's causing the problems. You just stop eating the food that's causing the problems. Now, of course, this is much more nuanced when it comes to psychology. There are many factors that come into play, and you have to kind of be consistently aware of what you're exposing your brain to and what you're engaging in. the whole holistic psychodynamic perspective, your relationships, diet, sleep, and exercise, meaning structures, existential identity, and all that. And if you don't have a conception of that, indeed, it's very easy to slip into using disorder-based language, I guess I should say.
Yeah,
like it's easy to adhere to a label under that, and get diagnosed.
And again,
like the medication,
the labels are broad.
Locus control.
But what if you do have the disorder?
What?
What if you do have the disorder?
I am a.
That's the thing.
Like,
we don't.
You know, you use disorder-based language. Of course, you got the disorder. You know.
Right. So this is where I mean, not to get too deep into this. I gotta make dinner, go to bed. I use the term disordered state, and that's really helped me a lot because I mean, to share this story briefly, I was given the diagnosis of central language processing disorder in my youth, and there was a period in my life where I didn't talk in anything but mumbles for about a year because I thought that I was wholly beholden to my CLPD, my central language processing and auditory processing disorder. And it wasn't until I really started questioning that label, thinking of it as a temporarily disordered state that my brain might occupy, that I began to change. I began to start making progress, taking lessons, communication, and really start integrating with my body and my environment. Same thing with my ADHD. This is extremely nuanced. There's tons of evolutionary psychology pointing to the idea that this is something that's deep set in our genetics that everyone has, because obviously it's an advantage for you to be able to be distracted by a shaking bush when you're on a hunt.
Yeah.
So it's to me an attention diverted, disordered state that your brain sometimes occupies. If you start to think of it as a disorder that I have, that enters this beholden victim mindset. But immediately when you start talking about that, you start sensitive and ableist and also. Yeah.
I have a complementary experience to share there. So you experienced that disorder your vocal process, right? Is that correct?
Right, and I still do it to some degree, but it's like it's basically 5%, like less than 5%. If that,
okay, now,
I shouldn't put numbers on it either. Like it's very context based. When it comes to music production, is when it really affects me.
But what you still do retain is your sense.
Dude, do you have like a Spotify or something? Dude, do you have
like yeah, I do. Okay, so you still had your sense of self and being a rational person, just unable to speak.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, is that true, Patrick?
No, I gotta interrupt.
You said,
fuck you guys.
You said, do I still have my sense of self? You kind of broke up there a bit.
Oh, okay. So you were experiencing disorder in your, but as an individual, as a person, you still had your sense of identity, and you could get through the day with no trouble interacting. You just had a specific disorder with your speech. Is that correct?
Right, and to be specific, I'd say my sense of identity is much more grounded and much more nuanced. I mean, I don't like using this word transcended, but I very much transcended that version of myself. This is something I learned in CDT, is the land of or the language of becoming the next best version of yourself. And I think that's something that we can do throughout our entire lives. Like going with the Heraclitus quote, Heraclitus said, "Never steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man."
Yeah. And now, my complementary experience.
Yeah, like it's the questioning of the label. It seems to be you can still ascribe to them.
See, my complementary experience. Okay, my complementary experience, to wrap it up, because you have to go to bed. Okay, I have schizophrenia, right? But I was diagnosed in 1999. I had an initial event, and then I relapsed years later but when I relapsed, I learned I did. I've been relatively fine since, right? But when I lost my sense of identity because my brain completely stopped. So I have a memory.
Wait, it stopped what? It completely stopped what?
So I have I lost my sense, like my sense of being in a world, and I have a memory that right. So they're bringing me into triage, right? And there's a there's what's his name? There's a psychologist there, but a forensic psychologist, right? This guy knows about you, right? So he's talking to me, and I remember looking, and he says, "You know why you're here?" Like, I remember, but I wasn't thinking right? So at some level, I knew there was something wrong with me, but I couldn't quite place what it was. I couldn't hold my thoughts together to understand what. But he asked me. He said, "Do you know why you're here?" So I remember exactly what happened. Like this. I looked at him and I struggled with every word. Every word has pauses, starts, right? And I said, all that matters is that you think differently. And that's as close to it as I could get, right? Okay. And then my eyes literally rolled back in the back of my head, and I experienced discontinuity. I was no longer discontinuity. So I was no longer in that entrance triage. I was now in a room, and that's a memory I have for the disordered state. So you were lucky. You were lucky. I'm sorry, you were lucky. Oh, you kept you kept your sense of identity.
You think
I've had my very
schizophrenia through like a
So I've had my
spiral. Like
So I'm gonna finish up here. So you had what you've experienced. I know. I understand your speech disorder. It's a faculty of your, and it's frustrating when it works when it doesn't work.
Interpretation. I don't even look at myself as that. Do I appear as if I have a speech disorder?
That's funny. No, I'm talking about.
Oh.
So Patrick, we have a commonality there. We've both gone through our brains not working. You know, so you had it. So if I understand correctly, you've had the experience of faculty brain not working, and it's a lower level faculty.
Well, yeah,
right. But in my case, the disorder is a higher level faculty. My ability to make complex thoughts, but they still work, kind of, but they're disordered. And being a high level faculty, my sense of being and identity was completely affected by the experience.
Mm-hmm. This is very interesting. So,
and I've taken medicine ever since.
Right, and I want to say that the term disordered state probably shouldn't apply to schizophrenia, but then again, you do, like, you can have lapses of your mental faculties.
Yes, I do.
It's very nuanced, and I suppose those could be labeled as disordered states of mind where you can't access them.
And you see,
you can't really do as much about it when it comes to schizophrenia. Same thing with childhood PTSD and wartime PTSD. Those are kind of the ones that I seem to think about differently. Now, there are stories where people have indeed entirely overcome schizophrenia, but they're very, very rare. The only story I've heard of is from a psychiatrist who had been examining this for many years, and he reports having entirely overcome it. But it seems like, so, I mean, I advise checking into Ian McGilchrist's explanations of schizophrenia. It seems that under his model, he tends to look at it through the left and right brain hemispheres, and it seems like schizophrenia tends to be more left brain dominant, where it's harder to, I want to get this right. He says it's more mechanistic, and it's more about a strong desire for understanding to the point that it overtakes your fully rational self, like the combination of the right and left hemispheres. So examples are when people think that they're machines and they try to like check for gears to see if they're machines. This is common in schizophrenia. The loss of identity is also really tricky. Like, sometimes you can have these full lapses of judgment, which can be thought of as mania, and that in those times, I'm pretty sure it would be impossible to just CBT your way out of it or whatever, like mindfulness your way, like, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that's not something that
I agree. I agree with you. I also shared a link. In the chat, I put a link of Star Trek, and in the episodes 7 and 9, modifies her Borg alcohol, pump massive amounts of information into her head. And initially, she's able to very intuitive connection, and these connections bear out in reality. They are found to be real. But as time goes on and thing develops, she eventually begins to exist. So I have experienced that. Initially, you make intuitive connections, and they're fairly nice. You know, they actually work. But as time goes on, the connections themselves, you make wider, longer, right? From one thought to another. Initially, they're introspective and insightful. But as time goes on, larger, finally, you are fully chaotic and you are unable to function. That's my experience. Because I've gone through it twice. I've gone through that experience twice. The first time it happened. I didn't know. But then after I got out of hospital, and then the next year, I had a relapse. And after I got out of the hospital that time, I understood that I needed medicine, and I've taken it ever since. But with that given, the medicine isn't perfect. So occasionally, I still have schizophrenic thoughts. And sometimes I express them in conversation. Brandon, you know? Yeah. Did everybody get all that? Yeah.
You know, I heard you. There is an issue with your mic. Like, you do kind of like stutter a little. Like, not you, but the mic.
The mic. Did you guys get all that though?
Talking, and then it's like, and then it's. I don't know if it's me or you. So like,
it's your connection's bad. I think that's unfortunate.
Did anybody miss anything I said?
Yeah. We got the gist. Yeah, I didn't understand.
Yeah, every so often.
So
I didn't know what the episode was about. I'm trying to even.
So basically, I'm not an expert in mental, other than how, you know.
Fuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
You broke up there too.
In any fucking realm of information, I don't know. That's my preferred mode.
Well, that makes sense, and that gives me a good perspective on that. I think that I mean, maybe CBT and the mindfulness practices could help if you're able to memorize exactly the kinds of errant thoughts or errant words that come up that will trigger those schizophrenic episodes. Maybe you'll be able to catch it before it arises, but I don't know how it is.
The thing is, I don't feel myself to be suffering. Yes, I have thoughts, but they're just thoughts. You know. I'm not hurting anybody. They're not hurting me, you know?
Well, like, I wonder, like, if you can ever put down your guard for that. You know what I mean? Like, if you
the truth is, if you're getting sick, you are the last person.
You're the last person.
You know?
Dude, did you see that one Netflix documentary on, like, a family of schizophrenics? Have you guys seen that?
I never saw it.
No, I haven't. Whoa. Yeah. What I said, Brandon?
Very good documentary. Like, holy shit.
What I said, Brandon, was from someone who's been Brandon. What I said from someone who's been through it. When you're getting sick with schizophrenia, you are the last person
to know.
You are the last person to know.
Right.
Everybody else knows you're getting sick well before you.
I always question my sanity, but I just analyze my awareness too much. I feel like I'm like an obsessive sanity tester.
Yeah.
Or reality tester. But then
Patrick, you said you had to go to bed.
Who?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna get stuck in this conversation. Let's talk about this more, man, because I do want to. I want to talk to more people who do indeed have genuine mental conditions and disorders like this. And it's important.
Right on.
Swamp or whatever.
Yeah, we're trying to do this more regularly too. So I mean, yeah, it's all good.
We convince ourselves to an extent that we're going crazy. When we're going crazy.
I've really enjoyed this conversation, you guys.
It's a black hole. Don't fucking just steer away from it.
Totally. And speaking of Star Trek, that's what I've been watching recently at dinner. So I'm about to go watch an episode right now.
Oh, which one?
It's
the more you get conspiracy.
I'm finishing up DS9 right now. Actually, I'm on the last season.
Oh, in the pale moonlight.
Got yeah, that is an amazing episode.
That's the one where Derek saves the Federation.
Yeah.
And all it took was a self-respect to one Federation office.
Oh, dude, they got the Quark's fucking guy and the
yeah, Quark's good.
The guy that owns the club,
look at, like,
that new guy, that like character in the holodeck.
Yeah. Okay, everybody seems like they're wrapping up.
Wait, say it again.
Everybody seems like they're wrapping up. Anybody gonna stick around? I know you have to go to bed, Patrick. You dark side. Wally, you're doing something.
I'm
going
I'm
nowhere.
fine for another like 2 hours technically if we want.
All right.
I'm fine.
You're still good? Okay,
I'm
so
good for a minute.
Patrick, you have to go to bed. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, what up?
Okay, have a good one.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate
they
that.
did with Gul Dukat, dude. Gul Dukat. They fucked up he was like a good villain, and then he was almost like Littlefinger in a way, in Game of Thrones, and then he's a fucking, they just go full evil with him, like, come on, man.
It's all about how you do it. If you write it well, it makes sense.
I'm the devil, wink, and then but I actually am, but it's like not cool.
Yeah, they did the Jamie Lannister ending where it's like you said that you did all this for the people, but at the very end you're like, nope, it's for Cersei. Like, dude, fuck off.
Daenerys too, yeah.
I hate that. That's why my buddy's like, I love Game of Thrones to the end. I'm like, don't tell me you loved it to the end.
Only to come back to the thing where I was fucking my sister, like.
Well, yeah. Well, like I said, that was the whole arc, and the whole show was to break free from her and be his own person, and be honored. Like that was his whole arc, the whole fucking story.
With the vagina.
And at the very end, he's like, "Nope, dude, I love Cersei, and she's bad, and I'm bad too." It's like, fuck off.
When they bombed the thing, the
Septimela or whatever.
Yeah. Whole population, and like nothing happened to
nobody
her,
cared.
Like
yeah, dude, like
everybody
said,
that could possibly
think about
died.
If somebody bombed the Vatican right now. Like, what kind of shit would be happening right the fuck now? Like that's basically what it was. That's their Vatican in that show. Like, you just bomb the Vatican, like everyone's like, yeah, we cool. Yeah, good luck.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna take off too.
All right, my brother.
I'm gonna take off too. I'm gonna go play some video games. But you know what? I had a good time. I've been having good times.
Hell yeah.
And if you guys are too. And if you guys are too, let's continue.
We're trying, like I said, we're trying to make it more of a regular thing, dude.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I'm gonna have a good time.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Friends
but
great, man. They're a joy.
But for tonight, I'm gonna take off, and we'll try again soon.
All right, brother.
Okay, have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, brother.
Yep.
Okay, good night. Okay, good night.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Like I said, all the combos we've had are pretty good, and they all go. Go different ways at different times, and like it's never like, there's no like concrete strategies. Just go with the flow. I think that's the best way always.
Yeah, 1 second. This lady done fucking lost her mind. Yeah, dude. Good shit.
Yeah, I gotta brush up more on philosophy and all that shit, psychology too. We're gonna start talking dude like that. I know things he's talking about, but I'm not exactly sure. It's one of those things. So like, when he starts talking about, like I said, I'd be on fucking like 2 different fucking Wikipedias, fucking trying to Google quick, like at least get an idea what the fuck, like I said, I know, but I don't know. Like some of the terms and shit, I'm like, fuck, man. Like I know this, I know what he's talking about, but I don't know the actual technical shit. But it's like anything, I'll learn about it. Because like when you're talking about whatever the neurodivergence. Like after looking into it, I'm like, oh, that's what it is. Okay, I know what this is then. But I didn't know at the beginning. So like for like 4 minutes, I looked like thought I was dumb, and then I'm like, oh,
No,
okay,
yep,
now it clicked in my brain.
yep,
I know what you're talking about. All right, let me jump in now.
yep. I space out now and then, but I have a gist of what neurodivergence is.
Yeah, like I said, it's just basically it's a blanket statement for all the little diseases, and then it's like, it's basically we have social disease.
Cool.
They're diseases caused by social things, not like mental things. Like you don't have a mental disorder, you have a social disorder.
Yeah.
Therefore, it
Well, think
causes the
about
mental
like
disorder.
the internet, dude, and like
Yeah,
being holed up in a fucking space where you're just going from one quick like dopamine retrieval thing to another. You know, it's just like boop 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 boop
yep.
boop. You know. Well, I mean, I think to an extent it's like quote unquote good, but it depends on how you use it.
It's like
And
anything.
you
Yep.
know, like it can be addictive or yeah. It's just
I always say it goes back
you
to the yin and
can
yang. Like I always say, the internet's the best thing in the world
come
because
to
you can learn anything, but also you can fucking do little chambers, echo chambers, and it's all misinformation, and that's the big thing
yep
I'm pissed about now. It's misinformation. It's not information like it should be.
yep yeah. It's like intended to guide behavior a
Well, it's all
certain way.
about right now. It's all about generating fighting because engagement. The more
Mhm.
that you know, post has fucking 8 billion people talking about it, the more money or whatever people get. You know, so they push that
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, what was I fucking thinking, dude? Uh, I don't know. Information. It's just a fucking ride. It's a you fucking map it all out and you fucking figure out where it contradicts and you figure out where the dead ends are and then you eventually find the only path that remains and you know you can idiot your way through this as long as you have like a memory. You know, as long as
Well,
you
yeah, like I said, even with like I said,
ride language the
what
right
the dude was
way. You
talking
know.
about, it's like instead of just listening to you guys talk about it and fucking being stupid the whole time and not adding anything of substance or nothing to the conversation, I can take 4 minutes, read a little Wikipedia about it,
Yeah.
get the gist of it, so then I know what questions to ask the dude, so I don't sound like an idiot, and then I can actually add to the conversation where now he can talk more in depth about this part of what instead of you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Help guide the situation the best I can.
He's like a philosopher therapist kind of, you know, like he's like yeah, he's a polymath, dude. His fucking server. He's a
Yep.
fucking polymath.
Yeah.
Uh yep. We got fucking have we gotta fly the same banner. We gotta gather under the same banner, no matter what the fuck it is.
Well, that's why I was telling him. Like he's like
Sign
you want to have more.
in
I'm like, dude, yeah, of
intellectual
course we need
space.
to have more conversations like this. We need to have more. Like I said, even when we disagree, it's civil. It's not a fucking a butthurt situation. It's
When
like
you break
no,
it down, this is kitchen table shit. This is kitchen table
definitely, yeah.
conversations about being. Like
But it's
we
more
just
than that. Is because the thing is, kitchen
whatever
table shit's
direction,
like
like
the weather. Like if you talk to
multifaceted.
yeah, it's an intellectual version of it's like when you think about the old school like dudes sitting
Being
in the
in
brandy room bullshitting. That's
fucking
probably
the
what they
same
did.
world.
You know.
Yeah. Right. Exactly, dude. Exactly. That's eh, off the cuff.
Well, yeah, because then you come up with good
Just
ideas, or
that's
you
all.
come up with good concepts, or then, like I said, like someone like me right now, I learned something that I
Self
didn't know
censor,
because
you
I
fucking
was
suck.
forced to.
Censorship sucks. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Like I said, I love sitting here. Like I said, sometimes I play games and shit, but a lot of times I just sit on here and fucking on either Google or I'm trying to like look up and read things as it's happening so I can get a better concept of everything we're talking about.
I just link a bunch of, or yeah, I'll link whatever I think somebody might
For
find
sure.
interesting or whatever I might want to fucking post.
You know,
Dude, I got a fucking long ass goddamn thread
on Facebook.
from today. Is this from today? No, on
Oh.
Perplexity.
Oh, okay.
Brandon's bullshit. Yes, perfect. I don't know. This was good shit today. This spiral that I did today was a wild ride. Cause I'm trying to like find dude, it's like you're trying to combine pies that have smaller slices or slimmer slices with other pies that have, or into other pies that have bigger slices. And you keep combining the pies until you get down to a fucking whole pie, or like the smallest number of sections pie.
Yeah, I can see
This
that.
fucking
We're trying to make it fit
psychoanalysis,
perfect.
fucking scheme, fucking, I don't know, theory. I've been trying to develop I'm just throwing bullshit out there just to see
Yeah,
if we can.
what works
Like, I
out
feel
best.
like this almost is like maybe you could figure out like an algorithm to figure out the like physical architecture underpinning a particular phenomenal state, like the way things look to me right now. So like maybe we could figure out the necessary structure to a simulation and then test that against physics and like the rest of our structures to see if there's like a pattern, like a DNA impression of sorts, like a
or like
footprint
overlap where
of
they
this.
merge almost.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, that one video, I didn't even look at it. Like it said, the Milky Way is a part of a larger structure. Like, that sounds fucking dope.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, there could be like the multiverse is the whole like we're in a bubble that's one universe and there's another bubble out there with another universe. Like and go infinite amount. Like
The one about we might be absorbing smaller universes, which
yeah,
might be contributing to the space expansion. Yeah,
yeah. I'm saying
dude,
that there's
that's
a lot.
such a riddle. Fuck.
Well, like
Yeah,
I looked it up one time. I think it's like 38
bubble expanding.
giga. What was it? It's like 38 giga miles per second is what the universe expands every second or something. It's like just ridiculous.
Okay,
Like
think
and
if a
when you
bubble
actually,
expands, right, and there's no leak in that bubble, right?
Yep.
What's gonna happen except for that space, every space between all those particles that are inside that fucking bubble expanding? Like all the space between that bubble, like that's the vacuum effect, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, like, isn't that all it is?
Well, the vacuum technically means there's no friction actually in space. So like, that's why like once you like move 1 mile per hour, you'll move 1 mile per hour till you get in somebody's gravity that stops you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, man.
Say you had a bubble that could expand infinitely.
Yep.
And it has like a set amount of fucking particles inside.
Yep.
That space technically grows, right? Because it's gonna be isolated from the outside of that bubble.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're just talking hypothetically.
Yep,
Imagine it
for
can
sure.
just keep growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, till
So
it connects to
essentially, we
another
can
bubble
say
or
the
connects to
space
another
inside of
something.
that bubble. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, I'm saying I can see that. Like I said, because if you look at it, like I said, the multiverse, it's all individual bunch of little mini universes. So yeah.
What's our balloon material? And yeah, what's expanding, the balloon material or the air inside of the balloon, like, or which one is?
So like in your
Doing
analogy,
what?
I would
Or which
say
one is
the
doing the
balloon
driver?
is like
Yeah.
what is the outside of it. That's what it's expanding, not the air inside. I don't think matter's expanding.
No, space is expanding everywhere at the same time.
No, it is, but I'm saying space is
Everywhere.
expanding. So I'm saying in your analogy, it would be the balloon itself. The air inside, which is matter, I don't think that's expanding.
No, I'm not saying that's yeah. That would be particle count in my analogy. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
do like a snapshot and
Yeah, I'm just saying matter, but yeah, particles, all of it's matter. So I'm saying like matter's not growing. I don't think, because like I'm pretty sure that's one of the
space is just
that's one of the fucking
vacuum energy, basically, in a sense. Yeah, it is just
it's one of the laws
energy.
of thermodynamics. You can't create or destroy matter.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. So like no matter what, matter is matter. Like, but the only thing that we don't know about dark matter and we don't know about the quantum all the way. So technically, all this shit could potentially be bullshit in a way.
Well, the theory, well, there's quote unquote proof that dark matter gathers in a halo around galaxies.
Yeah.
So it would exceed the or maybe it would sort of semi overlap with like the little tails or whatever, the fucking spiral edges, the fringes, or whatever the right word for that would be. But I don't remember what the proof was. Maybe it's some kind of gravitational lensing or something. Dude, it makes me think like, so apparently their collision is sort of unlikely. Like their gravitational, the force that they emit isn't that strong. Like,
Well, it kind of depends on how big the
on their own,
galaxies
or they
are.
just tend to
or, you know.
avoid. But if you think about it, like objects tend not to collide strictly on gravity. You know, like because look at the fucking moon, dude. It's spiraling us.
I mean, it is getting. It's actually getting
Spiraling
far.
away
Yeah, way.
forever. Yeah, it is, but it's gonna. When is it gonna be slung away or
Billions of
whatever? I don't
years,
think it'll
'cause
even
it's
be
like
slung away.
it's like 1
It's just
centimeter a
spiraling
year.
away infinitely. It's not gonna.
So
It's
you
not
want to
gonna like.
you want to know about the moon?
suddenly
Actually, you know the
trail
moon.
off.
Do you know the moon
moving
was
away.
once Earth?
No, it collided into Earth and then formed in space, which is why
It's a meteor hit Earth at an angle. That's
part
what
of Earth.
that's what
Yes.
causes our planet to have the wobble too.
Yeah, but it took material from Earth as well, so because it had
Yes.
to have formed in space.
Yeah, it did.
Otherwise, it
formed
wouldn't
from
be
Earth's
tidally
matter.
locked.
Like part of Earth is
Yes.
the moon.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
crazy, and a lot of people don't know that. But I was like, the moon is actually Earth. It just broke off from a meteor hitting it and slicing that when it was like all molten lava,
dope, dude.
hot Earth. You know,
Fucking 3-4 billion years ago or something. I don't
yeah,
remember,
at least.
but
Yeah, it's like 3.8 when
I
Earth
love that,
formed, so
dude.
probably like
That's so
3.6
fucking
billion.
cool. The moon is so far away, dude. The distance
Relatively,
of it
but it's
is
not like again relatively like it is far, but on the grand scheme, like compared to like Mars
I
or
know,
Jupiter,
it
it's
is,
fucking
yeah.
really close. Like that's why I love that the picture of like the solar system when it's like a pea and a nut, like in an orange is like, and you see the sun is like 3 basketballs. Like okay, yeah, that's how small you are. You don't
I
fucking
love that
nothing.
shit too, dude.
Like it just
I
shows you
love that,
you're
dude.
nothing.
The giant fucking the red giants, dude, that are just like what is that thing? Fuck.
Well, they think that Jupiter was supposed to be a star, it just didn't supernova or collapse on itself.
Star or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, like, who knows? And like, we know there's dark or black holes now. They think there could be white holes, which we haven't found that, but that's a possibility too, where it spits out space time and shit. So I mean, that could be the answer to some things we don't know for sure yet. I mean,
what would a white hole have to look like? Well, we have
so basically,
radiation.
So there's like a visual representation. Basically, is a black hole is like a sink, right? Is a sink, okay, right? Water goes in the sink, you never see it again, right? And then a white hole would be the faucet spitting water out all day.
Yeah.
So, like in theory, a black hole would always technically win because the white hole could spit water, spit space time. But if it goes into a black hole, it's gone, unless
if you reverse,
unless it's a wormhole or something. Like we don't know, but we'll never know until somehow, I don't know how you're going to get.
So you
get
pause
the
universe.
It could.
If you reverse the mechanics on the inside in real time, what do you see?
I don't know. Nobody knows technically. We know about the event horizon. We can see that. That's about it. After that,
right?
Nobody
truly. So light cannot
leave,
escape it. So would light just be like accelerated?
Who knows? Like I said,
like I
said, there's a theory that it leads to a white hole. So it takes all that shit, and then a white hole might sell it out. Like it could be this. Like I said, to anybody say they know,
what ways can it? Oh, I'm gonna type this into Perplexity right now. That's a stupid idea, and it's going to fucking
fuck your brain
shit on it. That's fine. Okay, what if a light hole or white hole is just a light acceleration zone Not a shotgun like blast of matter up your ass in an instant. You fancy, you dig? Or it's a steady stream of what? Wait, did I? Quantum tunneling. It's like it just sucks my dick. Because no, you know what I mean? Like it sugarcoats.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, like I need to specify shit on my idea. Otherwise, you do get AI hypnosis.
Oh, I bet, dude.
Lack of empirical evidence, compatibility with existing physics, conceptual clarity. Okay. Those are all super fair.